Hey y'all. So, as you already know, we have a super powerful full moon that is coming upon us on August the 19th, 2024, in the sign of Aquarius. And at this particular time, along with the full moon, the energy in the skies are bringing forth chaos, tension, struggle, just thickness, and not necessarily bad, change and transformation and sudden shocking events, all of those things. But we're going to talk about why this full moon and all of those energies at this particular moment in time is doing what they're doing. We're going to talk about those details, tease it out, and describe how it's going to be affecting each and every one of you based on your sun, moon, or rising signs. But first, before we even get into that, let's talk about what a full moon actually is. So a full moon is an opposition between the moon and the sun. And sometimes we can categorize oppositions as challenging energy. It really just depends on what sign the sun and the moon are in, and do those signs or their ruling planets, do they play nicely? Right? So you have the sun and the moon sitting across from each other, giving us our full moon. And in full moon energies bring forth with it a burst of energy. A surge of energy that energizes us to move and to do things, to make action, where we didn't before. So if you had a desire to change something, if you had an idea, if you wanted to do something, and you have a full moon hitting it with its burst of energy, you're going to move on that thing. But full moon's energy is so unrefined, is so unprocessed. It's kind of chaotic in itself, because it's just new and it's just a burst of thing. Although it has an energy of bringing things to fruition. It has an energy of bringing things to light, but it's still untamed because we haven't had a chance to sit with that energy and direct it in the way that we want it to do, and to bring about what we want it to bring about, because it hits us so suddenly. Now, what's special about this full moon and all of its glory, bringing its energy with it, it's going to be very close to us. And so this is why it's a super moon. A super full moon happens when the moon is close to us. So we feel its energy a bit more potently, right? Because it's closer to us. So we have that going on. Not only do we have that going on, we have some other challenging conversations in the skies, or challenging conversations between the planets that are happening in the skies. And I call it conversations because it's easier to kind of convey exactly what's happening. And so if you think about it, think about yourself when you're having a conversation with your best friend, or you're having a conversation with somebody that you get along with. The energy is easy. You're passing ideas, you're laughing, you're keying, and everything is all good because the energy between you and that person, or between you and those people, if it's a group of friends, it's all good. But imagine the person that you don't get along with at work because they always got a snide remark. They always are too critical. They always are very nosy. They always are, you name it. They're doing something that just rubs you the wrong way, or you're doing something that rubs them the wrong way, and the energy between you is just not good. Or every time you get in a room with somebody, you have it's argument, it's frustration, it's, you know what I mean? It's just not easy. And so I like for you to think about it that way, because this is actually what's happening in the sky. It's not the easy conversations that's happening. It's the ones that are hard. It's the one that brings intensity. It's the ones that bring the challenges and the struggles and the conflict. That is what's actually happening. And that is, those conversations are being energized by the energy that the moon is bringing. So what are those aspects or those conversations like that are happening in the sky? Number one, we have oppositions. Number two, we have squares. So oppositions aren't necessarily bad, but they do bring intensity, and it depends on how those planets actually gel or not with each other. So an opposition is the planets standing directly across from one another, right? So like the sun and the moon is directly across from each other. The moon is going to be in Aquarius and the sun is going to be in Leo. That's 180-degree opposition. So we have other oppositions that's coming along. And so oppositions, all of these conversations in the sky, they beg certain questions. And so oppositions, you want to know, the first thing you want to ask yourself when you figure out, is this going to be an opposition, is, okay, what is the level of intensity going to be? Is this aspect bringing balance? Is it bringing challenge? Do these planets get along? Is it a you scratch my back, I scratch your back thing? You do for me, I do, like, you know what I mean? Like, we get along? Or is it going to be a fight? Do they just not mix like oil and water? That's what you need to find out what's going on. And this is what we're going to talk about. The other type of conversation that's going on is the square. And the square is a 90-degree aspect. It's a hard angle. This is a full-on battle, okay? A full-on battle is bringing tension, it's bringing struggle, it's bringing conflict. And the questions that you should be asking when we're having squares is, what is the solution going to be? Because you have to figure out the solution. Like, what is coming up that's causing this challenge that I have to solve? Right? Also, what squares do is they force you to ask the question, where do I find my strength in this? Right? I know there are certain challenges that I have gone through, and I didn't even know that I had the strength that I had until that challenge, that conflict, that struggle brought it out of me. And so that is what the square is going to do. So it ain't necessarily bad, in my opinion. I'm not going to say I like, because it's not always comfortable, but the squares with the challenging energy that it brings, it always brings the aftermath, is the staying power of what that challenge is unearthing, right? And so when you're having a square, you want to ask yourself, who am I now? Who do I want to be, or who will I be when this challenge is over? Right? And that's all about how you're going to solve that conflict, right? So what is the challenge trying to teach you is what you need to be asking, right? How can I dig deep and find my strength? Okay. And so, yes, people are talking about, oh, you need to go hide under a rock. You need to be scared, and you need to do. No, you don't need to do that. You need to be brave, right? And so people, yes, they're going to be not acting like themselves. You might not be acting like yourself, but if you're informed, you need to check that. Like, you're here and you're having this conversation with me right now. If you feel yourself being irrational, you need to check that shit. You need to calm it down, right? So what I'm saying is, understand that the energy is going to bring about irrational behavior in people. It's going to bring shocking things out. Things are going to shock you. Right? The energy might want to take something away from you, but no, if it takes something away from you, that thing that is taken away from you, it don't serve you, and it's going to replace it with something that will, either immediately or eventually. Okay. But it's your job to figure out what the energy is trying to move you toward. How are you going to do that? By asking yourself those questions that we just asked a few moments ago, right? And so to become a better you got to figure out what these challenges are actually trying to bring you, right? It's the challenges, it's the struggles that teach you your strength. It shows you the depths of who you are. It rips layers into you. And no, it might not always be comfortable. comfortable, but you know what? You do become better. And right, without having those, you will never know who you can be. You never know what you can accomplish. So welcome the challenges. Welcome this energy. Know what's going on so that you can use it to get to where you have to go. And understand that whatever experience it brings you, your whole being is going to know why you will or you won't do something, why you will be with somebody, why you won't, why you will do that job, why you won't, why you will put that business in play, why you won't, why you will have that relationship, while you won't. And guess what? Every single last fiber of you, because of the experience that the challenge is bringing you, is going to know why you will or you won't. And I always tell my son, when you have an experience that moves you in such a way, your toenails, why you know why you going to do something and why you won't. So welcome this. Don't hide. Be brave. Right? There will be heightened emotions, but keep your composure. And you know what? The composed is always in control. The composed always win. Just be prepared. And this is why you're here, because I'm preparing you, right? So if it's raining, you want to have your raincoat, your rain boots, and your umbrella. If you're going to be stepping into battle, you want to have your spear. You want to have your sword. You want to have your shield. And you want to have your plan. You want to have a strategy, right? Because you can't win without a strategy. All right. So what are some of those challenging aspects that are happening? We're going to be having on August the 18th. So I'm going a couple days. The new moon is actually going to be on the 19th. So we got to get into what the energy is doing on the days leading up to the full moon, because like I said, the energy from the full moon is energizing all of this stuff. And you can feel the energy from this particular full moon at least a week or two before and a week or two after. So on August the 18th, Mercury is moving into Leo, and it's going to square Uranus in Taurus. And Uranus is all about, it can be all about chaos. It jostles you. It's all about shocking. It's about rebellion. It's about all of those things that's unconventional. It's about the freedom. It's about the split. It's about breaking things apart. Okay. And Mercury is squaring that. So Mercury right now is actually in retrograde. So Mercury in retrograde is like, this is another thing. Like, this is another layer of the conversations that's happening in the sky. Like, with Mercury being retrograde, it's an element of things from the past coming forward, right? And you're going to probably learn something with regards to where it touches in your house that you didn't know before. You're going to have a piece of information that you didn't know. It might be shocking in a good way or a bad way, for better or worse. You're going to find out. Okay. Then, the same day that it actually squares Uranus, Mercury is going to join the sun. And sometimes we say that when a planet joins the sun, its power can be turned down because it's being burned by the sun. We call that being combust. But in this case, it's far enough away from the sun where it's going to be getting good shimmers from the sun. It's going to be getting highlights. We call this a cazimi. This is auspicious. This is luck and opportunity. And so that information that you actually might get might be the information that you need to make the move that you need to make, the one piece that was missing from the puzzle, the one thing that was hidden from you. So you might learn something that's like, yeah, okay, I got this. All right. So you can make a move to becoming a better you, right? By having that information. Now, on the 19th, the next day, we have Venus in Virgo, and it's squaring Jupiter. Now, that may not be so bad because Venus and Jupiter are what we call benefics. They give gifts. They bring us good things, right? And so Venus rules our money. Venus rules our love. Jupiter just gives blessing on blessing, and it expands everything that it touches. But in this square between the two, it might be like, okay, it's showing you where you overdid something, because Jupiter expands something. So in love, Where are you allowing things to fly that probably shouldn't fly? Where are you sweeping things under a rug? Like, how long have you actually done that? Or how long has your partner allowed you to get away with some stuff? Right now, you just might not be able to get away with it. Okay. Where have you overspent? If we're talking about money, right? Where have you overdone your beauty treatments? Like, you need to slow down on the Botox. Quit with them lip injections right now. I'm joking, but I'm saying, like, Venus rules beauty. And so Jupiter squaring Venus is showing you, like, you OD'd, you overdid it. Chill out. Okay. And in the same day, Venus is going to oppose Saturn. And so that's not necessarily good, because Saturn is we call Saturn the taskmaster, but I like Saturn is like that teacher that has the ruler that sticks their finger out. No, you need to get back in line. You can't do this. Saturn is the parent that enforces the rules. And so if you got out of hand with your Venus, with Jupiter squaring it, then Saturn is going to come into play and have you put boundaries back in place, like fix things. Like now you're going to have to pay the piper with regards to wherever you OD'd, you overdid some things. And it's a fast moving aspect, so it's not going to stick around for too long. But if you fucked up, then Saturn is going to get you back in line, and you're going to fix whatever you messed up with regards to that Venus Jupiter conversation. Okay. And so that's what I wanted to say about that. Now, child, the biggie, we're going to have, like, we have a T square. We have a T square. So I want you to think, we talked about the opposition between the sun and the moon. The sun is in Leo, the moon is in Aquarius. And then, like, imagine if you drew a line from the middle of them, and out at the end of that midline of that line that you drew from the middle of each, like, you have Uranus, and Uranus is what we call T squaring, like you draw in a T, right? So Uranus is what we're saying is T squaring the moon. It's T squaring the sun. Ooh, child. Now, we talked about Uranus being what it embodies. Like, it represents, Uranus wants to give you freedom, for better or worse. It wants to free you from, if it's not serving you, Uranus is going real quick. Uranus represents lightning, shocking, action, disruption, sudden, wake up, shake up. It's the wake up, shake up. Okay. And so with Uranus squaring, it's trying to bring you something, or break you away from something, so it can bring you to something. Shockingly, surprisingly, abruptly, and quick. Okay? Abrupt is the same thing as quick, but you get what I'm saying. And it brings chaos with it. You know what I mean? Or it can bring chaos. I mean, it might bring you something that have to make you move quick, but it's something that you actually wanted, right? So before this actually happens, let me back up a little bit. So you have Uranus is in Taurus. The moon and sun are in Aquarius and Leo. We talked about that, right? Lord. We have another big aspect or conversation that's happening. And this conversation this is usually not a good conversation. And this conversation is the square between Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn, they just flat out don't like each other. I mean, not for real. Because maybe they like each other. Maybe they do, but this ain't real. This is not a good conversation. And so Jupiter is in Gemini. And Jupiter is in an air sign. And in Gemini, it tends to be all over the freaking place. Yes, Jupiter expands everything that it touches. It want to give gifts. It wants to do all of those things. But Gemini is an air sign. And so it's all over the goddamn place. It's everywhere. There's no structure to it. It's like, and it can be blown out of proportion. Okay. So then you have Jupiter squaring Saturn. And Saturn is like, oh, hell to the no. Like, that Jupiter kite is not going to fly. Okay? No. We need order. We need order in the court. We need boundaries. Are we following the rules? Like, you giving all of these gifts, you allowing all of this kite to fly. Like, what is this affecting? Right? Is this causing chaos? Have you even checked to see how given this thing is going to affect everything else? No, you haven't. And so we're going to put structure to this. That's what Saturn is doing. But before this square even happens, and it's happening on the same day as the full moon, Lord have mercy. It's being energized by the full moon. So it's even bigger than what it would ordinarily be without this energy giving it that boost. Let's back up a couple days, though. Now, on August the 14th, we had Mars going into Gemini. Now, Mars is like, Mars sets it off. Wherever Mars goes, like it's going into Gemini and it's conjuncting Jupiter. Mars is triggering Jupiter. So Jupiter is already expanding. It's already doing what it's doing. Imagine it being triggered by Mars. It's really going crazy. Mars is energizing Jupiter to go ham. Okay? To go ham. It's like, yes, do you. And it's like, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. It's giving. We can't have all these cars on the road because they're going to crash. No, I'm just kidding. But Mars is energizing Jupiter. And then Mars and Saturn don't get along. So just think Mars is like the go, go, go. I don't think, I'm just going to go. I'm going to get shit done. I don't care what havoc I wreak in the process of getting done what I need to get done and getting what I want. And Saturn is and it's young energies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm ready to go. And Saturn is the old, like, gray beard. No. You cannot. You need to calm down. And so on the 16th, Mars squares Saturn, agitating Saturn. Like, nah. Look what I did. I set Jupiter off, and this is going to piss you off. So that's adding fuel to the fire. Okay. But again, Saturn is like, never mind who you thought I was. I'm Saturn, bitch. You are not getting away with this. You're not. Okay? You're not. So it's a lot of stuff going on. And that is what makes this energy so crazy. It is like, we don't know really like what is going to happen. But again, like, we got to be prepared. And at the end of the day, this energy is going to bring us to our better selves, and what it is it's going to make us that much closer, because we are supposed to evolve. We are supposed to grow, and at the end of the day, this energy is helping us to do that. How are you going to use it? How is it affecting you in your chart? Well, we about to get into that right now. What's going on, Gemini? So what does the planetary energies have in store for you during this upcoming full moon in Aquarius on August the 19th, 2024. Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. And I must emphasize, guys, that this moon is super powerful because, yes, it is a super moon. That means that we're going to be feeling this extra potently. And this this full moon is going to be energizing with full vigor every other conversation in the sky that's going on between the planets. So these conversations are going to be much stronger and have a much stronger impact on us than they normally would if this this full moon wasn't happening. So right now we have Mercury retrograde in the sign of Leo, and it's going to be on the 18th. It's going to be square in Taurus in your 12th house. Guys, right now, Mercury, yes, is in your third house. Mercury likes to be in the third house because that's the house that it naturally rules. And so what does Mercury deal with? Mercury is our thought processes, our ideas, information that we take in, that we give out, conscious and subconscious information. It analyzes things. It rules groups of people, how we handle nervous energy and things like that, how we express ourselves. And it's going into the house of communication for you, that third house, interactions with our immediate environment, with our siblings, our early environment, our neighbors, thoughts. It rules short trips, that third house, writing, speaking, how we formulate our thoughts and ideas. It rules media communication. It rules business transactions. Now, all of that is being squared by Uranus in the 12th house. And what does the 12th house deal with? The 12th house is what is unseen. What is the things that we cannot see? How we undo ourselves, our karma, our hidden strength, our hidden weaknesses. Now, all of that is being brought about through the utility of communication. So things that have not been seen, things have been hidden from us, will be brought to light through words, through communication, from that third house for you, Gemini. I honestly don't think it's a bad thing. People want to have us scared and running for the hills and hiding because yes, we are having squares, which brings struggle, it brings conflict, it brings tension and all those things. But to be honest with you, Uranus is not at its full capacity in Taurus. It doesn't give us its full potency because it doesn't like to be in Taurus. It is weak in Taurus. And Mercury in the third house is pretty powerful because that's the house that it actually rules. And in fact, Mercury is going to be getting an extra boost or surge of power because it's going to be on the same day, the 18th, is going to be joining the sun. Now, normally we say that a planet is combust or its powers are weakened by the sun because it gets overpowered by the rays of the sun. But in this case, that will not happen because Mercury will be far enough from the sun to where it's actually getting the goodness from it. It's getting its warm rays. It's getting invigorated by it. So it's being energized by it. And we call that a cazimi. And that is an auspicious aspect. That's blessings. Like that's bestowing of goodness on you. So the information that's going to be brought about to you that was hidden, that's coming from your 12th house, is going to be just the information that you need to make the decision that you need to make with regards to third house things, like how you handle your relationship with your siblings, with your neighbors, how to better your environment. You might get some good last minute trip information or, to go on a good trip somewhere. Yeah, so it's good. You're going to be getting good news from that, I think. Yeah, I don't have your chart, so I don't know how it's going to be affecting you personally, but I really don't think that it's going to be all that bad, especially because the sun loves to be in Leo, because the sun, it rules Leo. It's at home in Leo. So you got, you have some good stuff going on there. Yes, the information could be jarring, but ultimately I think that it's to snap you in place to get you going on the right path. Now, on the 19th, that is the day of our full moon, we have Venus in Virgo in your 4th house. Now, let me tell you, Venus does not like to be in Virgo, and it's squaring Jupiter, and Jupiter does not like to be in Gemini. When signs are in places or homes that they do not like, they don't give its full potential. They don't give us its full vigor, and they don't act with full strength. And so Venus in Virgo could be super extremely critical or nitpicky or just not given what it needs to give in your fourth house. What does your fourth house deal with? Your fourth house deals with your family, your home, your root, your sense of security. So how are you being agitated in that way by Venus? Venus rules our money. It rules beauty. It rules, our comforts in life. How is that not showing up in your fourth house? Do you have guests in your house that's literally in your house that's making it uncomfortable for you? Are you for some reason not feeling comfortable in your home life for whatever reason? Well, that Venus in Virgo is showing this to us here, and it's being exacerbated by exacerbated by Jupiter, because ultimately whatever Jupiter touches, it kind of expands. It does expand, and it over exaggerates it. And the fact that it's in Gemini, we're not getting the greatest virtues of Jupiter. Jupiter tends to be irresponsible and overindulgent in Gemini. So we have Venus squaring it there, and although those are two good planets, it's really not that bad, but it's making us somewhat uncomfortable. And so it's showing you where you're overdoing your Virgo. Are you spending too much money on fourth house things? Are you not spending enough money? Are you trying to get a project done, but you're too critical and too nitpicky that you can't get shit done? That's probably being blown out of proportion by Jupiter, but not to worry, because Saturn, the taskmaster, is going to be, or Venus is going to be squaring or opposing Saturn from your 10th house. So you're going to be shown from your 10th house exactly where you're going wrong in your 10th house. Like 10th house rules authority figures. It rules our public standing and things like that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe your dad will come by and say, hey, what do you got going on here? Like, you need to fix this house. You need to get your house in order, give you another perspective, and tell you where things are not going so well so you can get it fixed up. You know what I mean? Also, on the 19th, we are going to be having the big full moon. And we're having a T-square with this full moon. So we have energies coming from two places. What the full moon is an opposition. Basically, oppositions can bring challenging energy. It can also bring energy that is pretty balanced. It really depends on how well the signs and the planets, or how well the signs get along, or how easy that conversation is that they're going to be having, and what planets are in them really colors the conversation that they're going to be having. So we have the sun in Leo. Sun loves to be in Leo, right? The sun rules Leo, so it's at home there. And when the sun is in Leo, like I said, we're getting its warmth. It's not misbehaving. We're feeling energetic. We're feeling confident. We're feeling radiant. We're feeling dignified. So it likes to be there, and it's shining that kind of energy, and it's pushing that sort of energy forth on to the moon. And the moon is where we hold our innermost private thoughts, our dreams, our intuitions, what we know to be true, what we really seek out in life, but we don't necessarily put on display for others. Like, the moon is where we carry our emotions and our ideals of ourselves. Now we have the sun shining light on that, right directly across from it, to Aquarius. And so this is going to be in your ninth house, your house of personal beliefs. And so what you believe, what you hold as your highest truth, is having is being highlighted, is being illuminated, and it's getting a surge of energy for you to bring those things that you hold dearly to you to the forefront so that you're in alignment with your higher self from the perspective of your personal belief system, your religious belief systems, if you will, your personal philosophies. I don't think that that is a bad thing. Yes, it's being squared by Uranus and Taurus from your 12th house, but again, like we said, Uranus is not in its full position or full strength of position of strength. Good Lord, I cannot talk. I'm sorry about that. But it's not in its full strength. And so I don't think that it's going to be doing anything bad. It's squaring the moon in Aquarius. Uranus rules Aquarius. It's not going to be too harmful to itself. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's going to be giving you the strength and the impetus to put forth those things that you carry dearly inside that helps you express your personal beliefs. And so that energy might be a little bit chaotic. It might be a little bit erratic. It might be a little bit untamed, but that's because it's bursting forth for the first time. And so once it calms down, you'll be able to hone that energy and kind of bring forth the things that you hold truest to you at some point. Also, Uranus, again, is squaring the sun in Leo, but I think that is just going to give it that extra ba-ba-boom to shine energy on you because Leo has the power here. It has the power because it's in its home sign. And so, yeah, people might be acting crazy or whatever, but I really feel like this is going to be, you can use the energy to your advantage if you know what's going on and you're prepared. Okay. Now, we also on the 19th, good Lord, on the same day of the full moon, we have Jupiter in Gemini squaring Saturn. Now, this conversation has been actually going on since 2020. And so 2020, Jupiter and Saturn came together in a conjunction. Whenever signs or whenever planets come together in a conjunction, that's a time of seed planting. So what seeds were planted in 2020 that has been manifesting since then? And so when we have an opposition, that's the time for that seed to bear fruit. And when we have the square, that is, I want to say, like the halfway point that shows us what about that seed is sprouting, or what weeds are sprouting with that seed that we need to get rid of. It's like, where do you need to do the pruning? What is working with this seed? Like, what is actually going on and what doesn't work? Okay. So what is going on with regards to this square? Well, you have Jupiter in your sign, and Jupiter in your sign is not, it doesn't give you all of its goodness because it can't really express itself the way it needs to express itself because it's in what we call fall, or it's in detriment. And so here Jupiter can be a bit erratic. And so because it's in your sign, like, how are you overindulgent? How are you erratic? How are you blindly optimistic? Where is the excess? Like, you can have a lot of that, and it could be showing up through your mental capacities and how you speak, and maybe spending too much money with traveling and things like that. Saturn is going to show you where you have gone to excess, and it's going to show you where you're busting out the seams and what works and what doesn't work. It's going to put rules in place. It's going to set parameters for you. It's going to show you, hey, this kite ain't going to fly over here because it's affecting other areas in your life that is harming you, and we don't want to harm you. So we need to put some rules and we need to put some systems in place to get you back in order. That's what's happening here. And so also be aware that before the 19th, this square is happening. Mars into your sign on August the 14th, and it's setting you off. It's like Mars is a trigger. And so what it's doing, it's invigorating Jupiter. So if Jupiter was irresponsible and if it was overindulgent, it's extra over the top because it's being ignited by Mars. And then on the 16th, Mars actually agitates even further Saturn. Mars and Saturn doesn't get along. So Mars acts without care, or it can act very raw and it's very raw, very explosive energy, very untamed energy. It just goes without thinking. And Saturn is the planet that thinks before it goes. It has a plan. It knows time. It knows boundaries. It knows rules. Like, it likes those things. And so Saturn is coming into Gemini, squaring, not Saturn, Mars is coming into Gemini, squaring Saturn, agitating Saturn. And so that's going to infuriate Saturn and cause Saturn to impose tighter restrictions on you, especially with Jupiter being just way too out of control. So that's what you all have going on there. Let me know in the comments how this energy works with you. I don't think that you need to be scared of it. I think that you need to ask questions like, where can I be better? Where is my strength in all of this? Because ultimately these challenges show us where our strengths are. And without a challenge, you'll never know the depths of who you could be. You're never going to become the best you could be, the greatest ideal of yourself, if you're not forced to dig deep and find that strength that gets you there. So you all let me know in the comments how this energy is working for you. I really want to know. If you got value from this reading, please like and subscribe, share with your folks. And also, until next time, guys, keep your hearts open and your spirits connected. Ciao for now.